What's up, y'all? Today we're coming live to you on a Friday, Fuego Friday, some social pub, bar and grill here in Katy, Texas. And I'm here today with my main man, Josue. Man, how you feeling today, baby?
I'm good, brother. Thank you for inviting me to do this, man. Appreciate you.
Man, appreciate you coming out here on short notice, man. Like, as you know, we just started this Fuego Fridays interview session to where we literally talk to local. I mean, are you a celebrity? Like, what?
No, I'm far from a celebrity. I'm just a guy that likes booze.
Hey, well, we brothers in that, man, because I love a good additive-free tequila myself, man, any day, anytime, man. So, look, we're going to jump right into it. Pretty much today I'm going to break it down and ask Josue some fiery questions, man. I want to really get to know you, man. So tell me, how did you first get into tequila, and how do you know so much? How did you build your wealth of knowledge?
I don't know that I know a lot, but my family has always had tequila. For the Mexican culture, it's always been brandy, bucanas, and tequila. But in 2019, when my wife was pregnant with our firstborn, she asked me to buy her the best tequilas out there. Not to drink while she was pregnant, but in her ways, when I get out of pregnancy, like a sentence, I want to drink the best tequila. So I just took a really deep dive in and just started buying stuff. And at that time, Fortaleza was just on the shelf. So this is right before COVID, before shutdowns and stuff like that. So I just started buying a bunch of stuff, trying it, and then I would engage people on social media, and then I got invited down there. And I'm going to trips down there. So and when they come into town, I host them. The club hosts them. So it just relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Well, you stumbled upon a really good tequila for like a first major one. Dude, I remember the days when, what was it called at first? Was it Abuelos, Los Abuelos? Yeah, Fortaleza. So was that only in Mexico where they had that label, or was that here in the States as well?
So there was one lot, which I believe was Lot 1, Los Abuelos, which made it to the U.S. There's a guy in Dallas that actually has a bottle, and there's a couple bottles around Lot 1, Los Abuelos, for the U.S. And how you can tell is on the back of it, it would say like gluten-free, they have the 5 cents exchange, and then after that the lawsuit happened. But another one that was one of my like really big buys at the time was Don Fulano Añejo, which is
That's what I'm talking about, baby. Don Fulano to the top. Let's go.
back then it used to come in this wooden box with a plastic shield on it. Like what other 1146 spirits do, like FUENTESECA 2013, 2019 cosecha do.
This dude has a wealth of knowledge, man. I don't know my dates and years and lots like that, but I'll tell you one thing. When my now wife was pregnant back in 2020, that's when I really got in it hard on tequila as well. And Don Fulano was one of my favorites, bro. Like, dude, you talk about knocking out the stress, like, you know, when your wife's pregnant, like going through it, hey, a sip a day. A sip a day, bro, kept me straight, man. So Don Fulano will always be nostalgic to me. I think it comes at a great price, you know, and consistency. And as far as I know, the Don Fulano Fuerte was one of the original Fuertes, high-proof Blancos. Can you speak to that at all?
So I want to say that it is I don't know that to be like 100%, but I would say that if they're saying that they were the first intro to the market.
Before it really got popular, like super popular, because it seems like everybody has a Fuerte now or high proof of some kind.
So there were a lot of there were some high proofs, and look, this is where you start to get in the conversation of what is a high proof. So 45 ABV should be a high proof to me. Some people say 50, but in all, like I guess the term of blanco, it's just a blanco. Like it's a blanco. There is no per the CRT, the norma actually. There is no high proof category. It's blanco, reposado, añejo, extra añejo, joven. So, you know, like what is a high proof, right? So I don't know that there's any like terminology that articulates what percentage begins a high proof.
Got you. No, totally understood, man. And appreciate that education. Look, man, dude, it's time to turn it up, man. I got some questions, bro. I got some questions. Look, I got to throw my shades on, you know, to lock in, man. So, look, I feel like, you know, everybody sees, you know, guys like you with this wealth of knowledge online, man, and to make it more personable and connect with the people, man, what was one of the first tequilas that you tried or liked that you regret, you look back like, man, why was I drinking that shit? If any.
I don't know that I regret drinking any of them. I think I started drinking when I was 12. You know what I mean? To give you a little story, my father, there's a thing called palenques in Mexico, right? So it's like a town festivity, and my people are from Veracruz. So we would actually go to like the cockfights. Like as a 12-year-old, my dad would give me bankroll, carry a little knife on me,
Shit.
you know, and that's how, and I would bet. And so then my uncles, their friends, they'd be like, drink this, drink that, you know, and
Yeah.
I drank a little bit, you know, like I tasted it. And so I don't think that I've ever had a tequila not noteworthy of talking about. Even the bad ones will give you an experience because how can you
They sure do.
how can you know what's good if you've never had anything that's bad?
Yeah.
Like I still go to the Specs here on I-10 and I just pull bottles off the shelf. Like I recently bought one.
Additive free or not, like you just pull bottles.
Yeah. Like I know what I like.
Yeah.
I don't know if somebody's making something that's not as popular because they don't have the marketing money to get into content creator space. So I just buy stuff and I'll post it. Like I posted a bottle called 420 Tequila.
Okay.
Now, it's interesting because it's an agave plant, not a weed plant, but it's pure marketing because to be called tequila, you cannot infuse it with weed or marijuana. So it was just a play on words, you know, marketing, but it was disgusting.
Yeah.
But I don't regret it.
Yeah,
You know, like I bought it at $20, but you know.
I mean, so tequila's, this exploration is almost like dating to you. You gotta try something out, you know what I'm saying, this and that, you know? Until you lock in and you get married to what, you know, like if I'm married to any man, I feel like any of these picks that we have in front of us are solid, man. And dude, get into more recent events, man. I heard that you had a special visit out to CAZCANES, man. Tell us about that, man, and how that experience was.
I tell you that it's like first class all the way. Like I've been on other industry trips and it is first class all the way, but the education you receive on the brand, and look, CAZCANES gets a lot of hate online, right? Like the price point, I don't know, man, it just does, right? But Wayne actually invited me down. I met him at Good Juice in person for the first time. We talked online for a while, and he invited me down, and it was a great experience. We got to meet the town of Tequila. I'm sorry, we got to meet the people of Ostotipaquillo, which is where the people that make this brand is from, and we got to go to formerly known as T-Tap, now Casa Vallas Amate. It changed the distillery name. We just got to plant our own agave too, which people hated on that. I posted the
Wow.
picture, people were hating, but you know, fuck it.
Yeah, haters gonna hate, dog.
But it was a great experience. We got to take a deep dive into the brand. They took us to the origins of it. We went to Estancita, where it really began out of a wood chipper, a gentleman that converted a water tank into a autoclave, hand macerated agave. It was extraordinary to see from day one to where they are now. But the great thing about it is that CAZCANES actually took the people from day one, now that they're ascending, and they're still with them. You know, I got to talk to the employees that are behind the scenes. I always do that because I speak Spanish, so it makes for a different experience, right? I got to talk to them, and I always talk to them when nobody's around or anything, and just ask them what their experience is. And I tell you that the town of Ostotipaquillo is very grateful for having them in the town, for sponsoring the town, sponsoring soccer team, baseball teams, horses, a rodeo. Like, they really take care of that town, and they employ people from that town. So to me, it's cool because they really are supporting the Mexican people. They're not a brand that's just here from the U.S., ordering it through their phone, having nothing to do with the culture. And they have a lot to do with the culture. It's very interesting dynamic how social media works, and maybe they don't really know all these things that they're doing for the community, but to me, that's great. There's a lot of great brands that don't do anything for the community.
You see, I love to hear that because I feel like when I first got into tequila, there was this weird dynamic to where I never wanted to feel like, hey, we were stomping on brands that could be, you know, potentially affecting, you know, employment back home, back in Mexico for people that depend on that and in the local cities. And I mean, these are hardworking people, man. Like, can you explain a little bit about the agave planting process? That's something that I've never seen. People only kind of see the result when it comes out of the ground and whatnot. Like, how laborious is that?
So I'm going to speak about what I know. There is different knowledge and people do it differently. I've talked to different jornaleros. Those are the people in charge of cultivating and harvesting, and they all have different styles. But uh, speaking about agave right now, it's at 1 cent per kilo. It used to be at 30, and that was like the boom. So people started planting. But what brands like CAZCAHUIN, CAZCANES, and FULANO are doing is that they're not stepping on the necks of the producers of the raw material. And what I mean by that is that they're not saying, well, we're going to pay you one peso per kilo. They're actually paying more than that. And the reason is because if you step on the necks of the producers, then they won't want to do it in the future. They'll grow grain, they'll grow crops, not what we need for this. So when they do that, they're taking care of the farmers, the producers, the jornaleros. They're taking care of the community so that it's sustainable for the future. If everybody attacks these guys and says, I'm paying you 1 peso, that's the market, I don't know that there'll be as much crop available. And so a lot of brands do that. They take care of their people.
See, that makes sense, and I'm glad to hear that. And that's the purpose of having Fuego Fridays, because there's a lot of information that he just broke down that I've never heard online. Typically, a lot of people are having these interviews where it's like high level connoisseur, breakdowns on tequila that the common folk, the layman folks like myself, can't really connect to. So when it gets down to a level like this, I feel like it's really educational for anybody who's just like stepping into the door of tequila, having their first taste, or maybe you've been drinking tequila, but you never thought about what happens back home and how it affects the economy and the common folk people, man. So that's amazing. Dude, I got one more question for you. Oh, yeah, sure.
So when you drink this spirit, understand that it probably took about 5 to 7 years for it to get into that bottle. So when you drink something, and I'm not talking shit, I'm just telling you, when you take a grain crop like, what do you make, wheat, rye, stuff like that, it takes one crop season to do that. Then you're distilling and putting it in a barrel, and you have to do it for at least 3 years, right? At least 3 years for it to be bourbon, to be sellable, 5 years maybe. These agave plants are growing 5 to 7 years. 6 years kind of on average. Some use 8-year agave. So these plants are in the soil for that long, then they get distilled and they become a blanco. Then to age them, you have to reposado timeline, añejo, extra añejo timeline. So when you enjoy the spirit, understand that it took at least 5 years to get bottled, which is insane.
There's a whole story behind it.
Yeah, 5 years
Yeah.
at least to get into that bottle.
Wow.
So,
Hey, look.
There's a lot, man. There's a lot to tequila.
I mean, when you put it all together like that, man, it makes you want to savor every sip that much more, right?
Makes you want to drink more.
Yeah. Right? Hey, so one more question to get you out the door. I know you're a busy man. You got things to do, right? Right? Bottles to drink. So look, what is one tequila? Because there's a lot of them out there, and we know there's a lot of popular ones. We got a few popular ones in front of us. CASCAHUIN, this is Tahona Crushed, I believe. I don't even got to look. Yep, that's Tahona. And then we got our Don Fulano Fuerte. We got our CAZCANES. Obviously, these are all different in quality and the way that they're distilled and broken down. What is one major popular tequila that, against popular belief, you don't truly like? Is there any one that everyone just hypes up and loves that you personally like, it's all right?
Man, that's a really good question. Like, what would you say is a really hyped up brand?
When I think about tequilas that people like if you just generally just ask people, I mean, let's step outside of additive-free ones for a moment. Obviously, we can talk about Casamigos, we can talk about trash, the Don Julios, everybody knows they're in lawsuit about, not really using 100% Blue Weber agave and things like that. So those are the easy ones. But I'll give you an example to lead the way. For me, I have really never fully embodied that enjoyment of Fortaleza the way that it's been hyped up. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying, dude, I could drink a Don Fulano all day over a Fortaleza, and that may get me shit, online, trying to put those two in the same category. But I feel like Don Fulano is consistent. I feel like it's well priced. So I think those factors come into consideration when you look at the quality versus the price. El Tesoro is another one that I feel like sometimes gets slept on. Like that añejo, always look at what like my wife may be able to drink straight without, shuddering. And I feel like, damn, like when it starts hitting more people across the board that like, man, this is good. Like non-tequila drinkers, I'm like, man, that must be quality. So that's how I kind of look at it. Is there any one that you feel like, man, like they're overpriced, they're, I don't know, maybe not as good as they panned it out to be? And not even like in a knock way. It's just more like,
I don't think, but man, and I don't know how to like articulate this so that I don't seem like a fucking complete jackass, right? But fortunately, I have access to a lot of stuff, right? So when I get stuff, I get it at MSRP, including Fortaleza. I have those relationships, but they've taken a long time. Like I buy a lot, right? I would say that your sentiment about Fortaleza is more of a contingency with the availability of the product. Because if it was sitting on the shelves, you might feel different about it. I'm not saying you personally, but some people may have to pay a premium on top of that. Depending on the distributor games, like this, you can buy this Fortaleza, but you're gonna have to buy 3 cases of this. And then they mark it up. So it's not on the consumer, but it's just, if you ever visited that distillery, it's super small. They're not growing anytime soon, and they can produce what they can produce, and that's it. You're talking about 60,000 cases for the world a year. 60,000 cases is what Guillermo Souza said. CAZCANES, for example, sells 50,000 cases a year, right? They are, one brand in a distillery, but that's how much product they're selling, and it sits on the shelves. So if Fortaleza didn't have the hype, wasn't as good, it would probably sit on the shelves. Not saying that CAZCANES isn't, but CAZCANES is a brand that's really ascending. And so the more people are starting to come to, especially the number 7 series, in the years to come, you may not see it on the shelf either. And it'll enter the secondary market. Then people will have more of a like something else to gripe about. But I think with Fortaleza, it's about the availability because it is a very good product. People have joined codes to hate on it because it's not available. But what do you want them to do? Like, what do you want them to do? You know what I mean? Like,
I like the perspective that you put that in because now that I think about it, I think what bothers me more is it's not the brand, it's when people get caught up in the hype that's the only one you need to try. That's more of what it is. Like, I think really, to be honest, it may be people that don't know better and they've heard it, it's been branded well enough to where that's the only one they want to try. And if you put anything else in their face, it's like, Fortaleza is here. So not a knock on the brand. I guess it breaks back down to like the rarity and availability, lack of availability of it.
but I think I've had the opportunity to speak to a lot of brand owners. I think they all want that hype. I think they would all love to be in that position where if it goes on the shelf, it's gone. Like you look at Total Wine. Total Wine has marked Fortaleza up to secondary prices. They understand that. But the same thing with Blanton's. Blanton's is at a secondary price of Total Wine. So they're following, they're listening, they're looking at secondary prices, and they're doing it too. So the consumer should actually be upset with the retailer like Total Wine who gets a lot, an abundance of it, So it's just an interesting dynamic. I don't think, and look, the breakdown is this. The brand creates it in Mexico. The importer purchases it. Now it's the importer's product. The importer marks up, comes here to the U.S., then they sell it to the distributor. The distributor now marks it up again, right? The distributor may play games with allocated bottles, right? And you got to buy 100 cases of this to get one Pappy Van Winkle, Fireball. Fireball is the greatest example of that. You got to buy Wheatley Vodka, Fireball to get the Pappy products. So they took that formula and now are applying it to tequila where 6 years ago that wasn't a thing. Tequila wasn't allocated 6 years ago. It didn't go in the secondary market for outrageous prices. So the distributor really did apply the bourbon recipe to tequila. So whose fault is it really? The retailer is like, man, I really need that because my people who are loyal to me are coming and asking, and I don't want to lose my customer. So I'll buy these 10 cases of X to get one bottle of this. So
I didn't know that.
So whose fault is it? in the supply chain.
I didn't know that, man. And look, that's the purpose of doing these Fuego Fridays, man, because homeboy Josue is dropping knowledge that I never heard before, man. So I hope y'all mark that down, man. Dude, I really appreciate your time. Yeah, we could. Dude, I really appreciate your time, man. Thank you for coming out, man. Dude, can I thank you by buying you a shot of Clase Azul?
I'm gonna respectfully decline. I have to drive. I have to take care of children tonight. So I appreciate it. I'll take you up on it next time.
All right.
I'll buy you a shot or something.
Appreciate you, bro. Thank you. We out.